When you don't follow through on the things that you say you're going to do, your mind becomes your own enemy because it does not trust you. Okay? It doesn't believe that you are going to do the things that you say you're going to do. And so by exercising that faith more and more and exercising that power more and more and more, we will prove to ourselves that we are worth believing in. Have you been living in fear? This is the question that we are going to tackle in today's episode of Aim Higher with Mamayan, and I am your host, Mamayan. So thank you guys so much for coming and joining today. The reason why I wanted to talk about this topic today, and the reason why I do pick the topics that I do, is because it's an actual real life thing that I am struggling with at this moment, and I'm learning about it as I go every day. And for anyone who might be in alignment with me right now and experiencing similar situations, I just want to provide my thought processes for you guys, just so that you can have somebody else who might be relating to your situation and hear their perspective a little bit. So that's what this video is about today. Basically, I woke up today and the past few weeks have just been like a battle when it's come to internal emotional security. When it's come to emotional security, the past couple of weeks have been a battle, and I've been trying to figure out what it is, because I'm doing everything right. Okay, I'm doing the internal work. I'm regulating my emotions. I'm journaling. I'm cleaning. I'm keeping my space organized. I'm just like, why am I experiencing this, or why can I not get past this block? I mean, first we need to understand that all emotions are going to serve us a purpose, including fear. Okay, fear is meant to teach us something about ourselves, and when we are experiencing fear, it's a direct reflection of something that's going on internally within us, okay? And it tells us when something is unaligned, because that's typically how fear occurs, you guys. It occurs from a lack of discipline, okay? And it occurs when our mind and our spirit are not aligned with each other. So I was talking to my dad on the phone today, and I was telling him, like, yeah, I feel like I'm living in fear. And he was basically like, well, yeah, I mean, there's no security in your life right now. I don't have like a consistent paying job that is paying me every few weeks where I know the money's going to come at this time. I'm not working a job that's like that. I have my revenues for money, but it's not like consistent, like a 9-to-5 job, which is sort of the type of work that I've always been used to, getting a consistent paycheck. Not only that, but I just graduated school, so I don't have my typical like consistent school schedule of what I'm going to do every day. And, just so many other things are going on that are kind of putting me in this place of like physical insecurity, okay? Because I don't have like that a reassurance of a perfectly planned schedule for payments or for daily activities. I don't have that right now. And I'm like, well, I can't just rely on other things to give me security all the time. Like, I need to create my own. So what is preventing me from building my own security? And I realized that it's just simply a lack of discipline. Okay, without discipline, we have no security within what we are doing, and nothing to prove to ourselves that we are making strides towards our goals. Okay, and what happens when we are lacking discipline is the mind begins to not trust us. Okay, we need to understand that an undisciplined person lies to themselves a lot. And chances are most of us do this all the time. Okay, now you're probably thinking, I don't lie to myself, but you probably do. Okay, we tell ourselves that we're happy when we're not. Okay, we people please. We indulge in things that we know are unhealthy, but we find ways to justify those behaviors. We justify bad relationships, bad friendships, etc., etc. So we are lying to ourselves all the time. And what we do when we're doing this, like I said before, is we're creating this disalignment between the mind and the soul. And we are telling our mind that we are not trustworthy. And so our mind begins to not trust in us. And this is how fear is formed. Because it's like the spirit, your spirit can feel your capacity. Your spirit knows your power. Your spirit knows your truth. But when you're constantly living outside of it and displaying something entirely different from who you are, your mind doesn't believe in it anymore. It's almost like the higher version of you, because you are so disaligned from that person, doesn't exist anymore because your mind has never seen it. It's this idea of you have to see to believe. Right. If you're not constantly exercising your power and exercising your purpose, the world and your mind is going to start to wonder, does this person even exist? Is this even a possibility? Okay, we even make promises to ourselves and we never keep them. For example, I'm sure many of us made New Year's resolutions, and here we are, probably have not stuck to those New Year's resolutions already. Okay, our mind is not trusting us. Okay, and what this does is it forms a place of internal insecurity within us. And now we are insecure within ourselves, and so therefore our environment begins to reflect it all around us, because as within, so without. If you're not secure within yourself, and if you cannot control your world within, you literally cannot control anything around you, and everything around you is going to be existing from a place of insecurity. And that's why we're having such a hard time reaching our goals and actually manifesting and actually evolving, because we are coming from a place of insecurity and fear. So obviously, what we want to do is we want to counter this fear, right? And in order to do that, we must, of course, understand what fear is and what fear is not. Okay, so where does fear really come from, and what is it? We need to understand that fear is a byproduct, like I was saying, of a mind that no longer believes in itself. It's the result of misplaced faith. And this is something that people often get confused. People will say that the opposite of fear is faith. But in reality, fear is a form of faith, but it's just faith misplaced. Okay, it's quite literally faith in your own failure. Okay, or faith in your inability to follow through on things, or inability to achieve things. So it is a form of faith, but we're putting it on the wrong side. We're placing it in the inverted mind, okay? The mind that does not recognize itself, okay? And literally distrusts itself, okay? That's the mind that we're in when we're living in fear and when we're not in alignment with our goals and our actions. Fear keeps us small. It keeps us stuck. It's the voice within telling us that we are not going to succeed. But in reality, it's not something that needs to control us. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. And I want to give you guys a couple tips, 3 simple tips that can help you to live a more disciplined life. Okay. And by living a more disciplined life, you are going to prove to yourself that you do keep your word. Okay. And by proving that to yourself, the next time you set an intention or set a goal, you're going to believe in it so much stronger, because you've now proved to your mind time and time again, hey, I can do the things that I want to do. I can do the things that I told you I was going to do. And your mind starts to believe it. Your subconscious starts to believe it. And it becomes so quick. The next time you say, I want to do this, your mind's already like, oh yeah, you got it. Okay. And now you have the support from your mind. You're in alignment. When you're in alignment with your mind, body, and soul, there is nothing that you can't do. Okay, but like I said, fear is a product of you being disaligned. Okay, so we need to get that back together, and we need to prove that we are worth believing in to ourselves. So how can we do this? For one, we need to start strengthening our boundaries. Now, what I mean by boundaries is kind of like what I was saying a little bit earlier, you guys, when I said that we indulge in things that we know are unhealthy for us and we justify them. This is not just food, okay? And I've talked about this before, but this includes people, this includes music, this includes environments, thoughts, ideas, okay? Even the energy that we consume on a daily basis. And I realized that I was guilty about this. Like I said, when I was on the phone with my dad, he actually mentioned like that he thinks that I absorb energy too quickly. And that was the first time that I really actually realized it. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. I do absorb energy very fast, because I'll be kind of living like, I was telling him like, oh my God, I'm living in fear. I'm thinking all these negative thoughts. And he's like, well, where are these thoughts even coming from? And I'm like, honestly, they're not mine. They're not even my own thoughts. And then he was like, yeah, well, you shouldn't be absorbing other people's energy so quickly. And I was just like, oh my God, you're right. This is my fault. I can't blame other people for this. I don't have any boundaries. Okay, so our boundaries are not just around our physical, our boundaries are around our mental and our spiritual as well. And we need to understand that fear is almost like an intruder. When you look at it this way, your internal state of being is like a kingdom, right? This is your palace, this is your kingdom, this is your environment, okay? And when something comes knocking at your door, you have the ability to say no, and you have the ability to turn it away. Okay, the thing is, a lot of us are a little bit too accepting, okay? And it's almost like, I mean, just to put it in perspective, fear comes knocking at your door and you're almost like, oh my God, come right on in. I have the guest room ready for you. Stay as long as you want. You know, fear, anxiety, depression, they're our top guests. You know, we'll welcome them in like without hesitation. But when joy and positivity and optimism come knocking at our door, we're like, yeah, I don't trust you. Okay, you can go find somewhere down the street. I think there's a nice little cozy park bench that you can stay at. We turn it away. This is literally showing us that we do not have strong boundaries, okay? Because we are welcoming this thing in without care. And I talked about this in my video about not chasing happiness, but it's almost like being in an abusive relationship when it comes to fear or anxiety. Same thing, you know, we are almost like in an abusive relationship with this thing. And this fear or anxiety can even become an entity over time because of the energy that we are pouring into it. We have to understand that nothing exists unless we give it that power to exist, you know? So fear, it's not really real. It's just that we give it the power to control us. It's something that we have created against ourselves, though, okay? And so when we constantly are draining our energy and giving it all to fear, anxiety, and depression, this is literally how we allow our mind to eat us, to control us. Okay, we no longer have control over our thoughts. Okay, it's something else is living in our space. Something else is taking our power and draining us of all of our energy and our source, and therefore controlling us from it. And that's what we need to understand. That is what is happening when we are allowing fear, anxiety, depression, and things of that sort to come into our space. Okay, so our boundaries are not just physical, they're also spiritual and mental. Okay, and we need to understand that our mind does not control us, we control our mind. Okay, you can't just let these thoughts and feelings that do not belong to you take over your home, take over your inner kingdom. You have the power to kick them out. Okay, and that is part of discipline. The same way we don't need to let certain people in our space, or we don't need to indulge in certain foods or certain things that we know are unhealthy and bad for us. It goes the same with thoughts and feelings. Okay, we do not need to indulge in the things that are not serving us and the things that we know are unhealthy for us. We are continuously proving the distrust when we do this and denying our own power and turning against our own self by doing this. So just remember that, you guys, boundaries go beyond just the physical, but it is a layer of discipline. The next step you guys need to understand when it comes to creating more discipline in your life and leaving fear behind is realigning with your intentions. We need to understand that fear thrives in a lack of purpose. Okay, when we have no purpose is when we get lost and we have no sense of direction. And this was another thing that my dad was saying to me on the phone, but he's like, don't get caught up in the chase of a certain lifestyle so much that you are forgetting your own purpose. And I was like, wow, that really hit me, because I think that this is something that we're dealing with in society. Everybody is chasing after something. Everybody's looking at the next person and thinking they need to be here, they need to be there. And it's throwing us all off course, okay? Because discipline is a slow and steady process. It doesn't just happen overnight. Our goals aren't necessarily achieved right away overnight. We are slowly building up the strength to get to that place, and we're slowly rebuilding the trust within our mind to get to that place. So the second we're scrolling on Instagram and we see somebody else, you know, maybe we're working on our singing career, right? And then we look on Instagram, we see someone who's a really good dancer. We become envious of that person, and then now we're like, wait, maybe I should be a dancer, right? We get thrown off course, forget our purpose, and start chasing after something else. And we do this all day with all different things. And that's why I feel like that is the biggest problem right now in our society, is like this lack of focus and forgetting that we do have a higher purpose. Sometimes it means taking a sacrifice. Sometimes it means delaying plans or making decisions that are going to better align you with that higher purpose, even if it's difficult in the moment. That's something that we do not like to do. We don't like to live in discomfort, okay? And we don't like change. But the truth is, when you are aligned with your intentions, you have to know that all paths lead to the same result. All paths lead to success, okay? But we have to stay aligned with our original intention. We have to stay aligned with our direction. And we can't just get caught up in this game of chase and forgetting who we really are, okay? And that's a major reason why a lot of us lack discipline. It's simple distraction, constantly getting distracted. So remember to be focused on your goals. Make sure that you are focused on your goals. Make sure that you know why you're even doing something. Every time you're doing something, ask yourself, like, wait a minute, why am I doing this again? And realign yourself with your intention and with your goals. And it'll make so much more sense why you're doing it or why you shouldn't be, you know, and even motivate you. If you're doing it for the right reasons, it's going to motivate you to work harder at it, get you even more excited. But like I said, if you are doing something that you shouldn't be doing, then it's going to realign you and bring you back into focus. So we have setting your boundaries and realigning with your intention so far. My last tip for you guys when it comes to discipline is follow through. Okay, this sounds easier said than done. Or my last tip when it comes to creating a more disciplined lifestyle for you guys is follow through. Now, this sounds easy enough, like, oh yeah, just do the things you say you're going to do. But the truth is, this is the one that we struggle with the most. And this is literally the one that prevents us from succeeding every single time, is not actually following through on our actions, okay? And this is where this distrust stems from, you guys, because it's like I said, it's like we're telling ourselves we're going to do something and then we don't do it. Or we say that we're this great, magical, powerful being on the planet, but then we don't act like it. Like, you can't call yourself a queen or a king and then go out in public and act like a complete terror to everybody around you, or just not carry yourself in that state, or not carry yourself with that much value in class. You can't do that. It doesn't align. So your actions need to align with your intentions. It needs to align with your goals, and you have to follow through on the things that you say you're going to follow through on, okay? Because we've seen what happens when you don't. When you don't, you create an enemy out of your own mind. When you don't follow through on the things that you say you're going to do, your mind becomes your own enemy because it does not trust you, okay? It doesn't believe that you are going to do the things that you say you're going to do. And so by exercising that faith more and more, and exercising that power more and more and more, we will prove to ourselves that we are worth believing in. We will prove to ourselves that we can do anything that we say we're going to do. And this makes it so much easier moving forward, you guys. Once we set this pattern and we have a new goal in the future, we're able to follow through so much quicker. It's going to seem like a long, slow, and steady race right now, but that's just because you're in the process of retraining your mind. But once your mind is trained, just know that you will be unstoppable. Okay, so just to go over everything that I said again, fear is created when our mind and our soul are not being aligned. It's created when we do not trust within ourselves, and it's formed from a lack of discipline. Okay, distrust is formed from a lack of discipline. The same way you wouldn't really trust anybody or respect anybody who you felt was distrustworthy. That is how your mind feels about you when you are living an undisciplined life. Okay, so we need to prove to our minds that we can be disciplined and that we can follow through on the things that we say we're going to do. And the way that we can best do this is by setting clear boundaries mentally, spiritually, and physically, realigning with our greater purpose and intention, and really making sure that we have focus when it comes to those things and we're not getting distracted by any and everything else going on around us. And of course, last but not least, following through and actually taking action on the things that you say you're going to do. Okay, I hope this video helped you guys, and if you found this interesting and you want more videos on discipline, then let me know in the comments below. I think I will be making more videos on this because this is actually something that I do want to initiate more in my life in general, and I'd be happy to show you guys like some daily vlogs and stuff like that around the topic. So just let me know if you guys liked the video, and thank you again for watching, and have a good rest of your week.